Good afternoon on this Monday, September 17th. The only storm that continues to be out there in the Atlantic is Tropical Storm Nadine. Nadine is currently moving toward the northeast at 12 miles per hour, and maximum sustained winds are holding steady at 65 miles per hour. The latest forecast track from the Hurricane Center has the storm making a sharp turn toward the south just prior to the center of circulation reaching the Azores Islands. However, all interests across the Azores Islands are advised to keep up with the progress of the storm, as there are still several differing model solutions. The only thing that appears to be fairly certain at this time is that the overall intensity of 60 to 65 miles per hour should remain steady throughout the forecast period, despite there being several possibilities of transitions between tropical and subtropical status. The only constant within the latest spaghetti model plot is that the overall forward motion of Nadine will begin to slow down, and the storm is likely to meander just to the south of the Azores Islands within 72 to 96 hours. On the Tropical Atlantic Visible Loop, you can see Tropical Storm Nadine in the upper hand corner of the screen, moving toward the northeast and out of the frame. Toward the south near Puerto Rico, we do have a tropical wave with a very weak area of low pressure associated with it. This feature is moving toward the west-northwest, but conditions in the central and western Caribbean do not appear to be favorable for tropical development at this time. And in the central and northern Gulf of Mexico, we have a cold front starting to sweep through southeast Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. This is causing a lot of rainfall and isolated severe storms, but there are no signs of tropical development along the tail end of this cold front in the central Gulf of Mexico at this time. The water vapor shows that much of the basin remains very hostile for development, with several pockets of dry air and vertical wind shear. In the eastern Pacific, there is really nothing left to Tropical Storm Christy other than the remnant swirl located to the west of the Baja Peninsula. Redevelopment is not going to happen because there is a lot of dry air in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, combined with the fact that water temperatures this far north are below 26 degrees Celsius. To the southwest, we are dealing with Hurricane Lane, which is a Category 1, and it appears to be strengthening ever so slightly this afternoon. On the enhanced infrared, you can make out the small presence of an eye trying to form, and it's surrounded by the central dense overcast. However, Lane is going to suffer the same fate by moving into much drier air and cooler water temperatures with time, and also the rest of the eastern Pacific appears to be quiet. The latest CMC model forecast is keeping nearly all of the Atlantic tropics quiet, and it's also keeping Nadine just to the south of the Azores Islands for the next 5 to 6 days. If there is any hope for additional tropical cyclone development in the Atlantic basin, it could come from an upper-level low spawning some subtropical development to the immediate east of Bermuda, but I would place those chances below 20 to 30% at this time. Any additional development in the eastern Pacific could come from a monsoonal area of low pressure that the Canadian model is developing by day 6. However, without other model support, this solution is being considered to be erroneous as of right now. The GFS is also keeping much of the Atlantic tropics quiet, although it places Nadine a little closer to the Azores Islands within 72 to 96 hours, and this is still something that we need to keep our eyes on, but the rest of the Atlantic and Eastern Pacific are showing no signs of development in this model solution for the next 6 to 7 days. The latest 7-day forecast from the ECMWF model was also very similar. Starting off at the 0-hour time frame, it does have a 1009 to 1010 millibar low situated to the immediate south of Lake Charles, Louisiana, but that low is in association with the cold front and it's non-tropical in nature, and the European, much like with our CMC and GFS model output, is not showing any development in the Gulf of Mexico from that front over the next week. In addition, within the next 3 to 5 days, it's also keeping Nadine to the immediate south of the Azores Islands, and it's forecast to remain near the central and eastern Atlantic throughout the next 7 days, so Nadine will continue to plague the Atlantic tropics throughout the forecast period. The rest of the tropics are expected to be fairly quiet. With weak El Nino conditions in the equatorial Pacific, it's going to be difficult to see much more in the way of added tropical cyclogenesis in the Atlantic basin without the help of the favorable pulse of the Madden-Julian oscillation, and for right now there are no signs of the favorable MJO moving into the basin in the near future. So that sums up your tropical weather update from 28storms.com and the Hurricane Tracker app on this Monday afternoon. Thanks again, and tune in for more updates throughout the remainder of the season.